It's a pleasure to be back here. It's a pleasure to be with you guys at the bar on your Boom Radio NG after an amazing weekend. My name is Shola Rogers.
Good day, good morning. Sorry, pardon my
Pardon your French.
my French, whatever it is at this point. Um, like you said, welcome to the Boom Bar again. It is another time for plenty gist about everything, politics, sports, entertainment, and everything else in between. Like he had said, how was your weekend? I had an amazing weekend, and if nothing else was amazing, the World Cup finals, or the World Cup really, the World Cup matches over the weekend was, it was actually very, 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 very fantastic. So if anybody is watching us, we're going to be talking about a few things. Of course, you know that the World Cup is something we're definitely different angles to the World Cup. Venus Williams, for people that do not know her or have forgotten about her, she is in the news again. You would definitely will be getting to that. Also, there's a lot of stories when it comes to that. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of angles to the World Cup, maybe even a lot of build up to the World Cup finals yesterday. Also, there's a bit of politics story here and there we're going to be getting as well. Then Twitter, we have a lot of Twitter news. There's a lot of back and forth between Twitter and Nigeria, the federal government. There's talks of the owner of Twitter, Elon Musk, stepping down. We'll get to that. Also, Twitter banning other social media on it, back and forth. And if time permits us, there's a bit of security stories here and there as well. So sit back, relax, and we're going to be talking about everything and anything right here on the Boom Bar. So like I said, if you're just joining us for the first time or you're just coming back, welcome. I bid you a warm welcome to the bar this afternoon. I hope you have your drinks, and let's just dive right into it.
Yeah, and again, you can be a part of this. Reach out to us on social media at Boom Radio NG, at Boom Radio NG1, at Shola Rogers, at Ola_Dolu. Send us messages, yes, comments and everything, and we will be glad to take them. Questions, queries, whatever it is, just be a part of the bar, and let us know what you think, because there's no bar without you guys. And talking about that, big shout out to all the people who have always been there for us. God bless you all.
Yep. And okay, so starting with the World Cup, I'm going to start from, let's not even go to the World Cup finals yet. My first question, or what my first argument is...
Oh, you have an argument already.
No, I don't want to call it an argument. It's something, talking point where everybody's talking about is, should the World Cup have ever really, really been in Qatar?
Okay. So...
For people that do not know, is the most expensive World Cup that we've ever seen. After
all said and done, I think Qatar deserves an apology from a lot of us, a lot of people. After all said and done, taking a look at the quality of the games, the quality of the matches that were played, the quality of the stadiums, the pictures, the videos. Yeah. Yes, it had its own, but based on the question you asked me, should it have been taken to Qatar? Yes. Yes, it should.
Okay. So, since that is okay, Francis Odum says, hi guys from Dallas. Hello. Hi. So okay, so he has a different answer. He says, nope, they bribed everyone bribable to get the award. Okay,
we're not talking about how they got it. We're talking about should it have
should it did they do a good job? Yeah at giving us a World Cup. I think they did. In my opinion as well, I actually think they did.
You had to go
how they got it that's another story.
But I respect that because again,
Yeah, everything it all
it's a-
culminates into
it's
something.
a sad, dirty fact. Although they deny any wrongdoing, but if you take time out to maybe just watch the Netflix FIFA documentary, for those of you who were not following it as it was unraveling, then you would.
It's a lot,
you would
yeah.
be worried.
So yes, he also agreed that yes, they did a great job. Yes, that we cannot. So I'm going to move all the way. You know, when I know that we really in the past few weeks we'll be talking about all these games back and forth, back and forth. I think that the whole World Cup, the first thing that I think that jumped out to me was the fact that from the beginning there were a lot of hopefuls, or there were a lot of people, there were a lot of shockers that we saw. A lot of people dropping off very early from the group stages. The likes of, I think, Germany, Belgium. A lot of people that we thought, okay, there was going to be a lot of fight from them. You know, it was the group stages. When you see some groups, it's almost like you're like, these people, nothing is really going to come out of this thing. You already kind of know who's going to. But here we are. We saw how Morocco got all the way to the semi-finals. No, I don't think anybody saw that coming.
It's the magic of the cup, like they like to say. When it happens like this, you realize that every single country that qualified could have won it, regardless of how poor you think they are when it comes to the quality of their game. The fact that they made it to the World Cup shows that they were good enough, and making it there also shows that anything could have happened. The new champions, Argentina, who haven't won it in like forever anyway.
Yeah, 36 years.
And are only winning it for the third time. Lost to
their first game,
Saudi Arabia. Same stadium, you know, first game of the World Cup for them, you know. And at that point in time, a lot of people are already writing them off.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's over. There's no way Argentina is going to pull through.
To me, I feel they needed that loss.
So, to me, I don't think it's a big deal that some teams did well and some teams didn't do well. It's always happened like that through time, and it will continue to be like that because every single human, every single person, when they get into competitive mode, they believe so much in themselves that they can do the impossible. They can do anything. And at times it does play out like that. At times it does.
Okay, so I'm still talking about the World Cup, and we've seen a lot. Special shout out to Morocco again. They, like, for me, I think a lot of people did not see any African team getting that far. No African team has even ever gotten that far. Also, for them to get that far, I was reading a part where now there is an extra team for Africa for getting that far in the there's an extra slot. I don't know how true that is.
I'm going to wait until FIFA makes that official
announcement,
official statement. What we are very sure of, regardless of how well Morocco did, is that they were expanding the World Cup anyway, and they were going to be sharing the slots across all the confederations, you know, and so which clearly means that Africa was going to get more slots. But we talked about it too, but we're now going to wait for an official statement
from FIFA
that says, yes, because Morocco did this, this is what Africa is getting in return. But it shouldn't be about the extra slot. It shouldn't be about that. It should be about the fact that there's an uneven distribution of World Cup slots based on a system that they had created many years ago. At some point in time, Africa had only one slot at the World Cup, increased to 2, and you would see how over 48 to 50 countries are fighting for 2 slots like it was war. And you go look at another continent that has fewer countries and they have maybe like 10 times what you have, you know.
Yeah.
But it's gotten better. They have given us 5, and it looks like it's going to be increased to 8 or 10, depending on how things pan out. But those are the stories that we should be talking about. How they feel that, Asia and Africa are so backward that they do not deserve to bring more countries to the World Cup. It's the World Cup, for God's sakes. I used to console myself, although it is a fact, but it's some form of consolation. When I was way younger and I started following the World Cup, that, well, every qualifier is actually a World Cup match too. That for 50 countries to play a World Cup qualifier in Africa, they're actually playing the World Cup. It's just that they are not at the finals.
At the finals of the cup yet, yeah. Makes sense. Still talking about the World Cup. So yes, Morocco and Croatia got they played the third place match. Morocco lost that game. I really thought that they were going to play a lot better than they did. From the get, it looked like Croatia had upper hand. And I think that what also made it was that Morocco and Croatia kind of almost played the same kind of game.
Yeah, we actually had mentioned this last week Friday when we talked about the game, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm maybe I'd already made up my own mind about the results a couple of days ago, when you were aiming for the sky, or you're aiming for the moon, then you actually found yourself landing on another galaxy or something. You've already you have won now. Morocco coming fourth,
it was almost like they had nothing to lose. It was already a huge win for them.
It's already a win. It's a massive one. So Croatia, pedigree wise and otherwise, it was most likely going to be a Croatia victory, But hey, Morocco coming fourth.
Oh yeah, I'm actually looking forward to see a lot of things that Morocco is going to go on to do, and for me, and someone made it. I saw a tweet. Someone made a very interpreted question. Said that, why is this Moroccan team? Why didn't this Moroccan team win AFCON? And I'm like,
again, if you understand how sport works, people have programs, they have systems, they have things in place, and they have targets. Now, the current Moroccan team, as constituted, was under a different coach. He had a different philosophy, a different style of play. After AFCON and it didn't go their way, he decided to ring some changes and made some moves and stuff. And eventually the coach and the players fell out. This is why this new coach came in. So if you're going to talk about the Nations Cup, remember that this guy was not there
at the Nations Cup.
And he played a major role in this World Cup. Joined them a few months ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's move on quickly and let's go to the finals. Starting from the closing ceremony. It was colorful. It was the word colorful, and it was very interesting for me and maybe for a lot of Nigerians. We saw Davido. That is probably his first performance after the tragedy of his son. I think it was a very nice thing to see him perform. Keep in mind that he I saw a lot of people asking why is he on it and all that, and that was what joggled my memory, that he actually has a World Cup song.
Aya.
So I'm guessing that was why, and of course they performed that day. It was a very, 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 very beautiful one. Also, he made a post on Instagram, and that post now, it said that he has gotten the most likes from any Nigerian. That post has the highest number of likes that any Nigerian has ever had on Instagram. So I think that's a beautiful thing. It's interesting that I like the fact that Nigerians just come out for their own. When these things happen. So let's move on from off that, and let's move on quickly to the game itself. For people that did not know or watch it or whatever, the game was Argentina, France. And there was a lot of controversy leading up to that game. It was mostly on the side of Argentina that it was a lot going on about how there was the talk of how they had gotten a lot more penalties in a World Cup than anybody else. How there was a lot of those penalties were not supposed to be awarded. And then the game began. And because I'm asking all these questions, I hope that maybe when you get to talk, you take it one by one. Then the game began, and then first half came, and it was 2-0. In fact, in my own opinion, I felt that France did terribly first half. I'm like, is this the France that got to finals? Then we saw what the coach did in about 30-something minutes. It took out Dembele and it wasn't Griezmann. Who was the second person he took out? You can't remember. So he took out two people that, of course, you felt that were very important. You felt people thought it was was not a funny, interesting thing, and then he brought out other people, and he changed the game completely for them. We saw how France came in the second half and then just changed the game completely. They did a fantastic work. We saw Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe, for me, is the golden boy of the World Cup. I think that nothing at the moment, nobody beats whatever that guy did. I felt that a little bit his teammates actually let him down. He carried that team from the beginning of the World Cup to the end. And it's very sad how you score a hat-trick and you still lose the World Cup finals. We see a very, very dramatic game. From 2-2, it became 2-2. From 2-0 it became 2-2. Then it was 3-2, which there's a lot of controversy. I saw one earlier of how Messi's third goal should not have been counted. I don't know if you saw that story, how his goal should not have been counted. Then there's also the talk of there were a lot of penalties in a World Cup final, and I'm like, were those final penalties, were they needed or not? Were they actually warranted? Was there a need for it or not? So yes, those were the questions back and forth. Then they got to finally got to the the penalties. And for me, I felt that when he got to the penalties, I'm not sure France had a chance. Why is Martinez we're talking about here? I think that this World Cup, I think he's a beast. He has been the one, as much as shout out to Messi. Messi is Messi. Let's not let you cannot take away from it. The way Mbappe literally carried his team, Messi carried Argentina, yes. But I think that in two very crucial games that Argentina needed to win, the game with Netherlands and now the World Cup finals, I think that Messi did all that he could do for the team, and it was good. And then they ended up getting draws in these two games. When it came down to the wire, it was Martinez that did it for them. And I don't know what anybody else would say. I think that he is the player of the tournament for me.
So what's the question? What are the questions?
So there are the questions of the controversy of how Argentina even got to the finals in the first place. Were they supposed to get to the finals? Or the number of goals or the number of penalties at the game itself. The game, the overview of the game. What do you think, how the game went? And then by the time it got to penalties, do you think France stood a chance?
Everybody is basking in the euphoria of Argentina's victory at the moment. Mm-hmm. Everybody is, in the light. They're grooving. They're like Not everybody do, but when I say everybody, I mean a lot of people
Yeah.
are like, oh yeah, the GOAT, the greatest,
Yeah, and there's
all
a
of that.
conversation of
You
he
know,
finally has the World Cup.
And I look at them and I'm like, nah, be honest. Be honest. Be honest. There are a lot of things that was not possible in football before, but technology has been deployed to make it better and reduce the incidences of poor officiating. We suffered a lot of poor officiating at this World Cup, but not enough to outshine the beauty of the entire World Cup itself. And the referee for yesterday, Simeon Michinski, or whatever his name was actually very, very good. Yeah. And if you understand football, the referee is called the center referee, the CR. Then we used to call them linesmen before. They are not linesmen. No, they are assistant referees, AR1 and AR2. Then on the sideline, there's the fourth official who is also a referee. And then there's the match commissioner and other people who are all part of the officiating team. If you take a look at all of that system, FIFA felt that was not enough. And while they were working at it, there were controversies surrounding goals that were scored here and there, and goals that were not scored. Did the ball cross the line? And while FIFA was still working out on technology had been deployed to cricket, to tennis, and it was working. While football was working its own out, the European Union, the European Football Association, UEFA, added 2 extra referees who will stay by the goalpost just for the purpose of finding out did the ball cross the line or did it not. They were not involved in calls like offside and other thing. That was left to the ARs. Then FIFA did the best and the biggest and brought VAR. Now the virtual assistant referee is a group of referees watching the match with the benefit of hindsight, who have the ability to tell a referee
go back
and say, look, we think there's they don't force him because he still has the last say. We feel that there's an infraction that you missed, so go and check it. How in the world did Messi play a penalty? Someone played a penalty. I remember that. I can't remember which game now at this World Cup. And Messi was already in the 18-yard box. It's against the rules of the game. And nothing happened. Now fast forward to the yesterday when I saw that thing, I thought I was the only one that saw it, and I'm like, wait, am I dreaming? Yes, indeed, there were at least two Argentine players on the pitch. If you want to understand how football works, I'm sure you would have seen when a player has been asked to leave the pitch. Maybe he was injured or pretended to be injured or whatever. He cannot come back on the pitch immediately. Once a player leaves the pitch, he needs the permission of the referee to come back on. Yeah. The referee gives him a signal, come in. There were times when players would wait until there's another infringement. That was the old rule. So a player goes off, he's going to wait until there's a throw-in. That's why that time, some players will see that, they were missing a player and he's ready to come on. They just kick the ball away. And the referee will be forced to allow the guy come in. But the new rule is that during play, you can ask a player to join the frame. Yeah. So, if everybody, the ARs missed it, the referee, I think it was a great referee, missed it. The VAR should have caught it. That was an infringement. That goal was not supposed to stand. But we're going to have this discussion forever. This happened with England and Germany, I think it was 1966 or so, and that controversy lives with us till today. It was one of the things that eventually led to goal line technology. Did the ball cross the line? Did it not cross the line? And whatever. You understand? The other part where Messi had palmed a ball in a game. In a World Cup game. You understand? People get sent up for those things. Nothing happened. Oh, because it's the GOAT, right? I feel that if Argentina is going to win, let them win fair and square. And they can't claim that yesterday was fair and square. the penalty that they got. Go and watch it again if you have time.
I did. I actually went. I felt it was a penalty. I think that there was a kick, and there was also a push, because by the time you are behind a player, really, I felt that the only issue that was the player probably didn't fall immediately, so there might be a little bit of controversy, but I felt that it was because to me, I felt that Dembele shouldn't have done what he did.
A big shout out to one of my friends, Chinasa Iboye, who had tweeted during the game, that when are we going to get the Argentine penalty so we can move on to other things? Everybody knows.
But France got 2 penalties.
Yeah, but what is the controversy around the French penalties?
Oh, wow.
Because France got it. You see, this is it. Take everything on its merit. There are questions on the Argentine penalty. How come nobody's questioning the French penalties? Oh yeah, that shouldn't have been a penalty.
The very first
because
French penalty was almost the same thing with what happened with the France penalty.
Almost the same thing.
Yes, it was almost the same thing.
In your books, the French penalty was a penalty.
Yes.
And the Argentine penalty was a penalty.
Oh yes.
Exactly. So using the fact that France got 2 to justify that,
that's what I'm saying.
Argentina shouldn't have even gotten 1. It's not. That's
what I'm saying. That it was almost the same thing. So if France could have gotten the penalty, Argentina could have gotten the penalty as well.
Okay.
That's problem. Where I feel, but I will not take anything away from what France did. I think that I've said it. We talked about this before, and I know that you had said that a goal is a goal, because my question is still something that I say a lot, that if there are those penalties, a lot of games probably will not end up. Take for example the French game. The World Cup finals would probably not have ended 3-3 if there weren't those penalties.
There are things that, oh man, it happened in the 1966 World Cup and England won and they're world champions and and there's nothing anybody can do about it. Then with technology, in hindsight, we must prevent this from happening. Okay. They always come back to that point where they say, they wish that this technology was available, or the rule was this way, or things should have been that way, or whatever. And that's why I said that I'm not trying to take anything away from the Argentines. Cumulatively looking at how everything panned out, they deserved to win the World Cup yesterday. How they won it, especially with a very questionable penalty, and how they even got to the finals in the first place, and how one person got so many penalties or penalty attempts, then go and look at the others. So how many? Okay, so what are you talking about? They are questions. They are gray areas. Nobody questioned France this much 4 years ago. And go check the other ones.
It was. I think it ended 4-2. It was fair and square. They scored goals. Everybody scored goals, exactly. And it was. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so if we go by rules, we'll say, because rules are just rules. If you look at the second French penalty, it was honestly not the guy that the ball hit his hand. The ball was literally kicked to his hand. The ball was kicked to his hand, but here we are. It was a penalty. That's the game.
What does the rule say about ball and hand?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it was
wrong. It a penalty or not?
Yes, it was. That's what I'm saying.
What's your point?
It wasn't like he went for the ball. The ball was kicked to his hand.
Did you see defenders putting both hands behind them in the 18-yard box when they are marking people?
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe he shouldn't have. Yes, I agree. But that's what I'm saying, that the ball kicked his hand. But was it a penalty? Yes, it was a penalty. Fair and square. I feel I do not take. I think it was the game with Netherlands that I feel that there was a bit of controversy around the penalty that Messi got. But on this one, I do not think that there was a lot of controversy. There should be a lot of controversy. I felt that it was fair and square. For me, it was a fair game. I felt that France. I think what affected France was the first half. I think the first half was not good enough. They didn't seem coherent. Their midfield was very messed up, and they allowed Argentina dominate the first the first half. If the way they played the second half and the extra time, if they had played it, maybe it would have given a different thing. I felt that Mbappe did so much, so much for that game for him to have lost. For him to have lost that game, he's a fantastic player. I feel that it is his time to shine. I feel that now that at least there's probably not going to be a Messi or a Ronaldo in a World Cup anymore, or even in clubs that they're not even as big as they used to be. I feel that it is Mbappe's time. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. I feel that he's most likely going to be the next Ballon d'Or winner. If anybody else wins it, I think I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight on that one. But I think that it was a well-deserved game. The only issue that I have with that game also was there's a controversy with the Moroccan goalkeeper and the Argentine goalkeeper.
There's whatever controversies you might want to let us know so that we
Okay, so now they're saying that both of them have
Who are they?
There's a lot of reports.
Okay.
That
I just want to know who we're talking
there's
to.
just a lot of reports out there that there is that they both have four clean sheets. That and he had four.
Excuse me.
So why didn't he get it instead of the why did the Argentine keeper get it instead of the Moroccan goalkeeper?
There's no controversy there. They both played the same number of games. They both had the same number of clean sheets. But one of them won the World Cup and the other did not. It should count for something.
Yeah.
Someone played in the finals, the other played in the third place finals and lost.
Yeah.
The other guy only lost the first game of the tournament and he's been winning ever since. Should count for something. So, sentimentally, you might want Bono of Morocco to get it. But if you look at it, only if Bono had done even more than he had done, would they look at a finalist and say, drop the finalist and pick the guy that came
I even feel that with the amount of penalties he saved, like I said earlier, I think that Martinez carried that team when it mattered. I think Martinez came up to. I think he's fantastic. He's literally fantastic. Like you could see what he did yesterday was the same thing he did with Netherlands. They needed to. It wasn't about people scoring goals. It wasn't about Argentina scoring goals. It was about him making sure the other team does not score their own penalties, and that's what he did for them. And that's why I said that I feel that he probably should have been the man of the match. Then there was the story of Messi being the man of the match. Yes, maybe it's because his fans are the ones that vote for it, so I get it. But I feel that that game, that man of the man award should have either gone to Martinez or Mbappe.
Well, I think you said it all. Well, the part that we wanted to talk about earlier was how Didier Deschamps substituted Dembele and Olivier Giroud.
Oh, yeah, Olivier Giroud.
Those were the players that he removed from the team.
And I think that it worked for them. I think he's a fantastic coach. I see the French team coming back next World Cup to dazzle. I think a lot of them would have grown. I think we'll see a lot more of Mbappe this time. We'll see a lot more of Antoine Griezmann. There's a lot of people in that team. I think that two teams that people need to look out for by the next World Cup is France and England. Because even with the crop of players that England has now, by then they would have grown a lot. I think that England too is another team to watch out for in the next World Cup. Still just going through a bit of world things and World Cup now. Juventus now has more players, more World Cup players in their team than anybody else. They have
World Cup winners.
World Cup winners in their team than anybody else. They're saying that no club in the history. Now they have 27 in total after Di Maria. And speaking of Di Maria, I think that it was fantastic yesterday. I felt it was a wrong move I think it almost cost Argentina their game for taking him out. I think that he was fantastic on that too. So yes, Juventus, Bayern used to have the highest number, and now Juve now has the highest number of World Cup winners in their club. Also, Drake, the Canadian musician, has now lost his $1 million bet. And why did he lose the bet? Yes, he had bet that Argentina was going to win. We see a lot of his bets, on games like UFC, on football, on basketball. Is something that he does a lot. So he had actually bet that Argentina was going to win the World Cup, but in his bet there was no issue of an extra time or them winning by penalties. So sadly, Drake lost $1 million. I think that's a lot to bet up. That's a lot of money.
I think Drake is very rich, and when you gamble, you could win or lose. So keep it up.
Keep it up. Okay, so quickly before we do you have anything else to talk about the World Cup before we move on quickly?
Well, no, really. I just want to say once again that minus all the issues like having to move the World Cup to winter or towards winter because of the heat in summer in Qatar, if they had played it at the right time, minus those small itches here and there, I must say that the Qataris
give us a show.
They did very well with the organization of the World Cup. I must say that the quality of the play, the games that we saw, a lot of things just went well. A lot of things just really looked like a proper World Cup, And I must say, I think maybe I've not had this kind of excitement since USA 94. USA 94 most likely was the last time I felt this kind of buzz, and so. And again, we're going to America in 4 years.
Yeah, time, so I was going to say that. You're going to the Americas in 4 years.
You all have your work cut out for you.
48 teams this time. So there's a lot. There's definitely
a lot. 3 countries and, so they're up to
it. They're probably definitely up to it. Quickly, before we move on from sports, 7-time Grand Slam champion and someone that we've not seen in a while, Venus Williams, if that name rings a bell, has now been awarded a wild card for the 2023 Australian Open in January. So the 42-year-old doesn't look like she's resigning.
The world of tennis cannot do without the Williamses. Serena pulled out a few months ago. Still heartbreaking for me. What a 2022 we've had. Look at the things that's happened in 2022 in sport. And Serena, man. But Venus, she's such a soldier. She's been through a lot. And she was diagnosed with a disease or an ailment that, kind of like limits her abilities.
To do a lot of things.
If she plays this tournament, she's going to miss the next one. If she plays the next one, she's going but she has soldiered on. She has continued. And to qualify for a wild card, I hope she takes it. And I hope she still goes there to prove that she is, the Venus.
I still got it.
The Venus of them all.
Exactly. So talking about that, let's move on quickly to a few things about Nigeria. As now, today, news broke that the Federal High Court has now convicted a former senior special assistant on media to former President Goodluck Jonathan. And, that might not sound very interesting, but he currently is the Director General of the Presidential Campaign Council of the Labour Party in the person of Doyin Okupe. He has now been convicted for breaching the Money Laundering Act.
Yeah. Doyin Okupe of the PDP, now of the formerly of the PDP, now fully of the Labour
of
Party.
The Labour Party.
Was alleged to have committed this crime when he was working with the federal government, then in his capacity as media advisor, as like the local pointed out. What talking about is that there are over 150 charges against him. Like 159 or so, and but from charges 1 to 32 or thereabout, he beat those ones. You get, because the EFCC could not prove or establish that it was into money laundering and all of those other things, and he's been charged for things like receiving funds in excess of the approved sum for an individual, amongst other things. Like, you're not supposed to get if you're going to get some payment that's beyond 10 million or so, you're supposed to report it. There's a channel that's supposed to pass through and all of that. Of course, these are also anti-money laundering laws that are meant to put some sanity in the system. The thing is, I don't get where someone who has this kind of case hanging over him, now that there's even an indictment, is being referred to as a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, that's the
every time. And I don't want anybody to get it wrong. If you want to support anybody, you don't owe anybody any explanation.
Yeah,
but
I get it.
Get one thing clear: virtually all Nigerian politicians are the same. They are friends. They do the same things. So it drives me crazy at times, but it doesn't drive me anymore. It's now laughable when you say that you're trying to do something fresh and new, and you have someone who had this charge lingering, hanging over his head, hoovering, and you're saying, he's the next best. He's not. They're all the same. The man's been involved in the whole thing. And same man had come on national TV when a journalist asked him,
"Oh yeah, about that we cannot buy trains."
Was Nigeria getting, locomotive trains in this day and era? And he says that there's no money. But the lady said, "But you said we are the largest economy in Africa." And he said, yeah. And are we supposed to use all the money for trains and all of that? And I said, my God.
We have trains now.
My God. Why would you say such?
On live TV.
So, yeah, and it just shows you that there was money to be shared illegally.
There was no money for infrastructure.
There was no money for infrastructure for people.
There wasn't.
So that's my thing about his own charge and indictment. However, understanding legal parlance, I would like to call it jargons.
Really?
You would hear of an indictment, but don't think that it's an automatic imprisonment or punishment or whatever. The next thing you hear now, there's stay of action.
I think that
there's court of appeal. There is the interlocutory injunction. One former governor in Nigeria has a perpetual injunction in place, which means that from now till thy kingdom come, that even after he dies, he cannot still be persecuted. He cannot even be investigated.
I think that.
How they get those kind of things,
you wonder,
don't know. So it's not yet Uhuru for those of you who think, oh, there's a judgment that will bode well for Nigeria's image and the future of Nigeria and governance. And because these things are actually supposed to serve as a deterrent.
Yeah,
They're supposed to deter people.
For me, I feel like you said, if for us to go into an election and the director general, and I think that parties need to look into these things. There's a lot of controversy around a lot of people, and that's what kind of irks me when I hear people say that there's breath of fresh air, there's this, is that. Tell me there's breath of fresh air when we have a certain kind of people that there is no story, rumor or not, around them. Then you tell me that's a breath of fresh air. But it's almost like we're circulating or recycling, that's the word, recycling the same set of people. How do you tell me, like you had said, someone that had said categorically on live television that Nigeria cannot attain some level of infrastructure, you now come back and tell me that's the person heading the campaign of someone that everybody's looking, not let me say everybody, a lot of people are looking at as a breath of fresh air. Those are little things that, if there is so much of an allegation, we know that, and this allegation, keep in mind that this money laundering is the same case surrounding the Dasuki thing that is probably one of the biggest cases of corruption that has come out of Nigeria. Is the one that still is the same case that involves Diezani. And remember that it's the same case that has caused a lot of lives of soldiers, of a lot of things that we probably, when we look back, it probably we probably won't be at this point when it comes to Nigeria's security if some things had been nipped in the bud then. Do you understand? So let's remember that it's still the same set of people, and then you come and tell me it's a breath of fresh air. I think that Labour Party needs to rethink who the Director General is, at least until this whole thing is sorted, maybe up until Supreme Court. I think that it does not look good on Labour Party. I've not seen if they had released something about what happened or a statement. I think that it's time they need to release a statement. Let's hear what they have to say about it, but it does not look good on them at all, not at this time.
Let me quickly help you with one. There's nothing here, but I just want to that this is a political judgment coming at a time when their party is on the rise and all Nigerians are clamoring for them to come, but that they will not be distracted by this. They have advised their legal team to look into this.
A very wicked
and
human
for
being.
this, I'm telling you what is going to happen. And next thing is that they're going to appeal this case, and they're urging people to stay focused and remember to contribute to the campaign and continue to campaign and stay focused. Don't let them derail you. It's disinformation, it's character assassination, and all sorts of shams. That's some of the spins that you're going to get. They have never been emphatic about allegations that's been raised about him within the party in the last 2 months.
Yeah,
nobody's done anything emphatic about it. Rather than that,
it's
there's always been a clamp down on the people who are alleging. But if you want to really come to Nigeria,
remember that there's a lot of conversation about him in the party and misappropriation. Okay, Uncle, you have money. Anyway, let's move on quickly from that, and let's move on. There's a lot of story that is coming from Twitter, and let's start from Nigeria here, where it was said this started where there was a claim by former senior Twitter official who had reportedly alleged that Twitter did not negotiate with the Nigerian government to lift the suspension on its platform in the country. And we know that it was a thing then. In fact, everybody woke up and we thought, when we heard the announcement that it was going to happen, I don't think a lot of people took it serious. I didn't, or it's not going to happen. But everybody woke up and like, oh yeah, it's happening. It really is happening. And of course, it went on for months. And in fact, there was a lot of court cases. There were a lot of countdowns. A lot of this is the amount of money Nigeria has lost for these. There's a lot of back and forth, but January this year, it was brought back. And now the federal government, through the Ministry of Information, had now come out to say specifically that there was a long negotiation between Nigeria and Twitter. There's dates of how, after the suspension of the platform, a week after was when Twitter started. He even dropped names of Twitter's vice president contacting the country, and how there was actually a whole team that was headed by Synod Sweeney, the Twitter's vice president, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, with a number of people that had meetings with Nigeria's Attorney General, the Minister of Information, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Works and Housing, and the Minister of Labor and Director General of the Nigeria National Intelligence Agency. And that went on for like 6 months before it was the suspension was lifted.
All right. Congratulations to all of them.
All parties involved. So moving on from that, and then the one I'm going to go on, still talking about Twitter anyway, is that Twitter users have now voted to oust Elon Musk as CEO. What are you doing? Why is your hand up?
I thought you said we should vote to oust Elon Musk.
Why do you want to oust him though? He owns his company. He could do whatever he feels like.
Why did he put out the poll? Why did he put out a poll to say, should I continue as the head of Twitter or not? And I'm going to abide by the result of this poll. That poll had over 17.5 million people responding.
Yeah. So according to him, the poll said, should I step down as head of Twitter? I will abide by the results of this poll. And like he had said, more than 17.5 million votes have been cast.
The thing is over now.
Less than 24 hours.
It's over. Final results.
57% are in favor of the Twitter CEO stepping down.
Please, 0.5.
75.5, 57.5, sorry.
Thank you very much.
And 42.5 people are against the move. The poll closed at around 6:20 a.m. Eastern time.
The thing is, you own Twitter. It's your money. It's your thing. It's your toy. You can do whatever you want with it. It won't work without people on it anyway. So, I like some of the things that he has done to Twitter.
Yeah.
And I dislike some of the things that he has done.
Oh, I think that they finally removed the Twitter for iPhone, Twitter for Android thing.
Yeah, I like some of the things that Elon Musk has done. But, being someone who is investing in so many businesses, I know he's been divesting from Tesla and all of that, but still doesn't mean that they should just
you have to
be on Twitter 24/7 tweeting about it and putting out stuff. It's time to build a structure, and put it back on firm footing, so that people know that you're not taking decisions on a whim.
Yeah.
I know that, of course, it means well for his own investment and for free speech. He's always said a lot of things about how he wanted free speech. Well, sadly for him, someone, according to his U.S. terms, was doxing him,
and we just did not see spaces for like 48 hours.
He didn't like the idea of being doxed, and they were using his own platform for it. And even what was that they were basically tracking him and putting out important information, which is vital and dangerous also. And it was at Chappelle's show somewhere in America, and he got booed. He actually got booed by the crowd, and all of that. So he can't win it all. It's not everybody's gonna like him. Look at of 17.5 million, he actually had 42, 0.5 who liked him and who wanted him to continue because they liked the changes that he has done and everything. But having said all of that, I hope he abides by this, and not just on paper, because a lot of owners will tell you, "Oh, I'm not involved." It's a lie. You cannot sign anything without them approving it, even if they tell you otherwise. So, man, shout out to Elon Musk for the changes that he has brought in such a short time. shout out to him for some of the changes that we don't like, but that he knows is alright. Look, he's a billionaire, arguably the richest man in the world. So, what there's a Yoruba saying that I don't like. It's not a proper Yoruba saying. It's from the streets, but they say Olowo Soro, Talika Loan lied. Yeah, the man is rich.
The man is rich.
The rich man is talking. The poor man is advising.
Who are you? Who knows you?
Your advice never make you rich.
Anyway, still
Mr.
talking.
Elon, shout out
To you. Still talking about Mr. Elon. Yeah, there was a tweet that was put out, and he was said that it was temporary. We don't know if it's going to hold water. Where it looks like they're banning promotions of third-party social media links, literally links from a lot of social media apps, from Facebook, Instagram, and there is even a particular one which is said to be rivaling Twitter at the moment, Mastodon. There's Tribal, there's Nostra, there's Post, and even former President Donald Trump's Truth Social. They're saying now that you have to pay.
There's Black Twitter. There are a couple of other.
There's a lot, yeah.
I know, but the thing is, I think it's bad to stop other people because you have your own unique selling, points, and you should stick to that and grow it and make it better. The fact that other social media platforms are comfortable being on your platform,
that's a good thing.
It's a plus for you. You're also supposed to be on those other platforms. I would know that there will be a Twitter handle on Instagram and Facebook and everything, and I've never seen them as rivals. For me, I always say the top 4 social media platforms for me are Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You get? I've always said they are, but I always stick with 3. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But if you start to go and limit competition and do all of this, even when you know that they're not direct competition for you per se, and they're not even as big as them now when it comes to users and stuff.
That's not a very good thing. Anyway, I wanted to quickly go back to the conversation of doing Okupe. And it was said that today is supposed to there was a sentence actually which we didn't talk about. He was supposed to serve all these charges concurrently. He was found guilty of 26 charges of 59, and he was supposed to serve 2 years each. But all these are supposed to be served concurrently. It was said that even his wife and child were pleading in court that the court should temper justice with mercy. So he's been sentenced to 2 years imprisonment. We don't know if he's going to start now or if, like you said, there's going to be stay of action on all that. But it's not a very, very good thing at the moment. And quickly before we go, NDLEA has uncovered a huge underground bunker filled with drugs in Delta State. There was also them uncovering one in I think noodles packs in Lagos Airport. I think that question I always ask is it that these things have always been there, or people are bolder, that people are going through all these things, or these things have always been there and NDLEA is just doing their job better?
I think it's a combination of both. I think that criminals will continue to evolve. They'll continue to look for ways to circumvent the system and try to make a quick buck. However, we must say shout out to the EFCC for doing an amazing job of bringing all of these things to the fore. They are on top of their game.
No,
this should continue until we can eradicate or bring the incidence of drug trafficking to its barest minimum.
Okay, and on that note, that is all we're able to take today on the Boom Bar. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for the comments. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time on boomradio.com.ng. We'll also be on YouTube, and we're also on Facebook, where you can also watch this over and over again. Also leave a comment, like it, follow us, also subscribe to the channel, and have a beautiful, beautiful day ahead.